We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's your man Wise, back at it again. Today I'm checking out a video from Miss Demetra K. This is from the African Diaspora News Channel. More black voters are turning to Trump due to learning the truth about Democrats. Before we get into the video, please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Drop me a comment down below. I appreciate all the love and support. I do have an email address if you need to get a hold of me or want to get a hold of me, askwisetoday@gmail.com. That's the best way to get a hold of me. And before we start this video, we must have a word from our sponsor, Young G's Barbecue Sauce.
There are plenty of things to be grateful for this time of year. Family, friends, good company, and good eats. That's right, we'd like to extend our gratitude for making us a part of this great American holiday. Young G's Barbecue Sauce. Thank you, America. That's right.
Get yourself some Young G's Barbecue Sauce today. Link down in the description box below. It's gluten-free, low in sodium, absolutely no high fructose corn syrup. Get your Young G's Barbecue Sauce today. Available right now at walmart.com. Link down in the description box. Support a service disabled veteran-owned organization. Give me 1 second. Let me slide the video in. And we are off to the races. Let's go.
A question posed by Politico asked, will black voters who are starting to drift away from the Democratic Party hurt President Joe Biden in South Carolina? Well, of course, you all know that it was South Carolina that put President Joe Biden, who was a candidate at the time, back in the game because his campaign was pretty much done. And then he went and got the blessings, if you will, of Representative James Clyburn. Well, not too long ago, Vice President Kamala Harris went to South Carolina to officially put Joe Biden and herself back on the ballot. But before she got there, some black voters met at a restaurant and they wanted to kind of go over some of the results from the off-year election. Of course, you know that in Virginia, Kentucky, and Pennsylvania, just to name a few, it was favorable for the Democrats. So they kind of wanted to look at it and see what went good and what didn't go so well. Well, they also discovered that black voters are really just kind of getting turned off from the Democratic Party. And they cited things like, well, obviously, Joe Biden and his administration has not done anything specifically for black people, as he stood up there on the night that he won the election and lied and says, well, black people, you stood by me and I'm going to stand by you. He has not done that yet. Now, they also said, and this is what was really interesting to me and I love, that black voters are starting to educate ourselves, right? It says that we are no longer becoming or a monolith, right? Because that's what the Democratic Party think that black voters are. We are all the same. We have the same brain. We think everything, right? We feel the same, which is not true. Because in 2020, Donald Trump got about 8% of the black vote. Well, they said that if the election was held today, that he could potentially get anywhere from 22 to 26% of the black vote, which is a huge jump, right? So that is very concerning to.
What that would mean, that would be a severe butt whooping for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris this time around in comparison to the last time out. The one thing I will say, and I do agree with her on this, and I think I mentioned this in one of my videos earlier in the week. Yes, black voters are becoming a lot more politically astute. They really are. We really are. I'm going to say they, like I'm not a part of that community, because I am. We're doing research. We're having more conversation around politics, which is something in the past I don't think was that popular in the black community. That is actually happening now. More conversations around, politics, not only on the national and federal level, but also on the local level. Black people are starting to become more politically astute, which is a beautiful thing. I keep saying this. I know who I'm voting for. But you, regardless of what you look like in this country, you have a right to vote for whoever it is that you want to vote for. I just want to put that out there. All I ask is that you take the time to do the research, understand that individual's policies, what they want to get accomplished in this nation. And if you agree with that and that sits well with you and your spirit, by all means, go ahead and vote for it. So many times in our community, I can't speak for anyone else, but in the Black community, a lot of times folks just voted Democrats. And the only reason why they voted Democrat was because they were under the perception that Republicans are racist, and they don't really know much about any other party out there, Libertarian Party, or just, there are some folks that just claim to be independent. And the independent Black voters tend to be more politically astute because they do typically take the time. And I think independent voters in general tend to be a lot more politically astute because they take the time to hear out both sides, check out those policies from both sides, and then they tend to vote accordingly. So I'm glad to see this. This is happening. I know that this is happening just from conversations that I've had with people. I mean, there's still some people that still got ways to go. But I will say that things are definitely improving. When you look at the Democrat Party, they're always offering something. And a lot of people are jumping off of that because Joe Biden said he got in basically on the back sort of votes of Black people, and that the Black community stood with him and he's going to stand by them. And now fast forward 3 years and we got a massive amount of migrants coming. They're typically not being pushed into, white communities, upper class communities. They're being pushed into, basically Black communities or poor communities. So if you are a poor person, and it doesn't matter if you're Black or white, if you are a poor person, you probably stand a chance of being displaced by some people that are not American citizens. That is the truth. That is what's happening right now. Because yes, are there Black people in these poorer areas? Absolutely. But there's a ton of white people in these areas as well. And then you got, other areas across the country that they're being pushed on. And then it's taking the resources from all of us. And it's a sad situation. And a lot of Black people are starting to wake up and see these folks don't mean us any good. And I'm glad to see it.
The Democratic Party. But back to the part about us being educated. Yes, that's exactly what is going on, because typically Black voters get our education from where? The mainstream media, the, if you will, lapdogs of the Democrats, the Black pundits, and y'all know who they are, because we're all the
Democrat Shields, the Joy Reids, the Roland Martins, the Breakfast Clubs, the DJ Envy and Charlemagne. That's where a lot of times they get their information from, instead of using this daggone phone and taking the time to do some research. That's all you got to do. That is all you got to do. If you see, hey, this person is running for, whatever district in the local area, or your senator, your representative, all the way up to the president, all you got to do is jump on your phone and start doing a little bit of research. Google will save you a whole lot of time. It really will. All you got to do is start putting the names in. Start looking for policies. It's all out there. We just have to take the time to go and look that information up. Just take the time. And typically it won't take you that long. Now, if you really want to get into it, and you can really dive into a real deep rabbit hole on the history of an individual and their beliefs and policies and so forth and so on, especially if they've been in this political space for a very long time, you can definitely go down a rabbit hole. But the information is out there. But at the same time, you must be willing to take that time and go do some research. Get off of the reality TV, get off the sports for a little bit, and get off of whatever else that you watch to escape away from reality. Get off of that for just a little bit. Take 15 minutes a day and just do a little research. And if you do 15 minutes a day leading up to the elections, man, your knowledge base would be vast. I'm just saying.
Already starting to see them come out and try to shame Black people for not wanting to vote for more of nothing. Well, Black voters are starting to say, okay, wait a minute. let me go on and see for myself exactly what is going on with the relationship between the Democrats and black voters. And as black people are starting to open our minds and crack open some books, and even go to Google if you want to, right? And listening to, channels like the African Diaspora News Channel, my channel, the Demetri K Show, black voters are starting to say, all right, we have been duped. We have been lied to. We have been bamboozled, right? And we don't have anything to show for our loyalty to the Democratic Party for over almost 60 years at this point, right? If not 60 years, we have got nothing to show for it other than some symbolism. We'll get a little something here, a little something there, but it usually includes everybody else, but nothing specifically for us, like reparations, like a hate crime bill that specifically addresses us, like getting rid of qualified immunity because police brutality mainly affects black Americans. We don't have any of that stuff. And so again, as we are educating ourselves, we're saying, well, why are we voting for them again? It's supposed to be a transactional thing, right? I, as a black American, I go to the booth and I cast my vote in hopes of getting something. Like every other community goes. They go on there like, well, I'm going to vote for this candidate because they said they're going to do this, and they actually do it, right? But us, we are expected to go to the polls and continue to check the box for the Democrats, no matter who it is, right? Vote blue, no matter who. We're supposed to continue doing that and then get nothing. And then when we say, well, you know what? I'm kind of thinking about voting somewhere else because I don't know, it's not working out for me in the Democratic Party. And then you get the pundits, for the Democratic Party come out and shame you. Oh, you black people.
No, you get the shields, not the pundits. You get those Democrat shields.
You're this, you that, and you guys are, y'all know what they call us for trying to educate ourselves and having our own thought process. And so I say to black voters, keep it up. Keep educating yourself. Keep finding out what they don't want you to know about the party, the Democrats, that black people have been so loyal to for absolutely nothing in return. So for more insightful commentary, please subscribe to this channel and my channel, The Demetri K Show, here on YouTube. Peace.
That was dope. And she's 100% right. Education is the key. And the one thing about, I honestly, this is my opinion, and I mean, you guys can speak on this in the comment section. The Democrats have been dangling carrots in promising that they were going to do something for black people for a very long time. And what happens is, in some cases, to an extent, that a lot of us won't take the time to stand up and do some things on our own because we are hoping that the people that we give our votes to will follow through on their promises. And election cycle after election cycle after election cycle, we've realized that they don't follow through. Now, qualified immunity, I'm one of those kind of people, I think that should be, that's a no-brainer, in my opinion. Police brutality, is it a thing? Yes. Is it as prominent as the left and a lot of folks try to make it to be? I don't necessarily think so. Not saying that it doesn't happen, because obviously we've seen the stories. I just don't think it's as prevalent as it is. But if you are a police officer and you are out there, committing, these types of acts, I think they should be held accountable, regardless of who it happens to. That's my opinion. Now, when it comes to, there's some things that I think, in the black community, I think there are some things that we need to take some accountability for. And I think that sometimes we find ourselves in situations where we will point the finger at someone else, but we kind of really need to be looking at ourselves. And some of us find ourselves in situations where, it's a self-inflicted situation. I've been in that boat myself. When I was a younger dude in my 20s, in my teenage years, in my 20s, out here, thugging and bugging and acting a fool, thinking I was something that I'm not, I found myself in trouble. And I found myself with more run-ins, with the police and things of that nature because of things that I chose to do. I put myself in a lot of these situations. I did. And I can own up to that and say I put myself. And when I decided I wanted to make a change, things definitely started to get better for me. Actually, things did get better for me because I decided that I no longer want to be that. I don't want to live my life like that. I'm going to make some changes in my life. I'm going to make some changes in how I move. I'm going to make some changes in the people I'm choosing to associate with, so forth and so on. And because of that, my life took a turn for the better, opposed to a direction that some of the folks that I used to hang out with, some of my friends that I used to hang out with, whose lives took a turn for the worse, unfortunately. But I appreciate, what she said. Black people are starting to educate themselves. That is extremely important. I said this in a video a while back. We're starting to become a whole lot more politically astute. And the things that we do need and the things that we want, the way we go about doing it is holding our vote, not just voting blue no matter who, holding our vote, going to the representatives, going to the politicians and saying, hey, if you want our vote, these are the things that we want done. These are the things that we're looking for our vote. And if you can say that, if you can show us that you can do this, we'll give you our vote. You've heard people say, well, the Republicans don't do anything. And a lot of the time that they haven't done anything, quote unquote, is because a lot of us have just basically said, we're not going to talk to these people and we're not going to vote for them. And when Ice Cube back in 2020 came out with the Platinum Plan and said that he's willing to talk to both sides, that is the direction that we should have been a long time ago. We got a plan. These are the things that we want to get accomplished. We're willing to talk to both sides. Let's hear what we're willing to hear both sides out. They call that man everything but a child of God for being willing, for having a plan and saying we're willing to listen to both sides. That right there goes to show you and lets you know exactly what time it is, with the Democrats and their shields. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, man. I hope you guys enjoyed the content. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. America first. Keep God first in your life. And I'm going to catch up with y'all next time. We out. Peace.